Okay, so this is our last example. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit and just focus on one if statement for now. So sometimes you want to check for multiple parameters. We did that before by putting an if statement within an if statement by saying if 5 is less than 6, and then within that we put if 11 is less than 6. So this statement had to be true in order to run the inside. And in order to run both if statements, so for example, let's show you that example again. So in order to run debug.log, 5 had to be greater than 6, and 11 has to be greater than 8. So right now this statement would not run because 5 is not greater than 6. So it would have to be like this in order to get it to run. So there's a couple ways to do this, to kind of run this in order to get that to play. So we can actually minimize that, even though using multiple if statements is pretty good, by saying if 5 is less than 6, and we use a symbol, the and symbol, and 11 is greater than 8, we can debug.log a statement. We can say compound and statement is true. Alright, and let's go ahead and hit Control S. Alright, and let's go ahead and press play. You can see it says compound and statement is true. Now there's another statement that will check both sides of this. Now remember what I told you before, an if statement will not run unless the value inside of here is true. So we can use a symbol called OR, and it's the bar located above the enter key. So if you hold shift and you hit that in twice next to the brackets, you'll get this. So say we say 5 is greater than 6. Well, this statement, if 5 is greater than 6 or 11 is greater than 8, will run because either side of this parameter has to be true. So let's go ahead and hit Control S and press play. And you can see it still plays compound and statement. Your compound and statement is true. And just to double check that we can change and to or, hit Control S and press play. You can see compound or statement is true. And this could work within an if or an else if or whatever you like. Okay, so let's take a look at plugging in some variables for our if statement here. So for example, you can also use variables which hold data values. So for example, say we wanted to say if health, which is currently storing 75.5, which will change to 500 when we go into the viewport. If 500 is greater than 6 or 11 is greater than 8, so let's go ahead and hit Control S and press play. You can see compound OR statement is true. So we can also use variables instead of numbers. So say we wanted to replace 6, we can go in here and I can make an integer and call that num1, and I can make that equal to 6, put a semicolon behind it, and I'll change 6 to num1, and I'll hit Control S, and what we're saying is if health, which is 75.5, is greater than num1, which is 6, run this code. Alright, let's press play again, see if that runs. Looks like it runs. Alright, that's pretty good. Okay, so let's take a look at something else called a case switch statement. So I'm going to go ahead and delete my if statement here. And what a switch statement does is it gives us a way of compartmentalizing a series of choices, and it'll switch between them. So the way it looks is you write the word switch, open close parentheses, open curly brace, close curly brace, and we say switch num1. Now this value can change at any time. So currently num1 is holding the number 6. So what we say is case 1, and what we're really saying here is case whatever the value is in num1, and we can debug.log hello from case 1, and then we just write the word break, which will end the code. If case 1 is the code that we want, we'll end the break here. And just for the sake of argument, I'm going to copy this again. let's change this to 2. Let's change this number to 2. Let's do this one more time. And I'm going to name it 6. And we'll change this to 6. Now you have to give it a default. So what we do, and you don't have to, but the default is if none of these are correct, it'll run your default. So let's go ahead and write default, and I'm just going to copy this chunk of code here. Alright, and let's hit Control S, and let's press play. Looks like I forgot a semicolon. Actually, I deleted one of the curly braces by accident. Alright, so let's go ahead and press play. And you could say it says hello from case 6 because it's switching between this variable. So there's going to be times when you might be doing an inventory system and you want to try a switch statement, which has hard written code. And so your character might collect a specific weapon and it'll switch based on that weapon. So you'll get a specific message or a health pickup or what have you.